Um, Tremendous, but I mean, in some sort of ways for him, because Carlos Alcaraz is Spanish, it's almost feeling that the torch has already been passed, to the new generation that is starting to win and starting to be number one in the world. So I think for him, it would be less sort of feeling like he's leaving tennis with just a massive hole, like Roger, for example, in Switzerland, because Stan is also at the end of his career and there is just nobody after. In Spain, there is already someone who has been winning 2 Grand Slams, who has been number one in the world. So you very much feel like, okay, this is your turn now, basically. And I think Rafa will totally accept that. But of course, it's never easy to walk away from something that you have done for so many years, that you have been so successful with, that is just part of your DNA, part of you, that everyone recognizes you for, being that amazing champion that won 14 times Roland Garros. I mean, it's not easy to say that the next day you're not going to come and take your bag and play Roland Garros again. It's just, that's just a small debt that you have to recover from. But I think Rafa has been laying out his future really well. He's going into business. He is a father now. He's married. So he has so many things to look forward to. But I think for him, it's also to sort of preserve his body enough so it doesn't feel like, in a normal life, he has some pains in his joints and some pain somewhere that disturb him to live normally. And I think that's very much as an athlete, when you walk away from your career, you just don't want to feel like you have damaged your body so much that you can't even enjoy normal things in a normal life. So I think very much Rafa is at that point when he's going to decide whether it's worth giving another go and a final go, or it doesn't worth to do that because it's going to damage his body long term.
Finally decide to call it a day?
Well, it's more for British tennis, because the buzz when he won Wimbledon in 2013 for the first time, I mean, it was just, it was insane. Like basically the whole country just tuning into BBC to watch that match. It was just ridiculous, the amount of excitement. Even the whole press, who normally is quite harsh with all the players and especially the tabloids, were just cheering on for him so much because he was so historical. And I can just remember so vividly that dinner that we had at the Champions Ball with Andy and his mom and my father and myself. And it really felt like, mother and son and father and daughter just being on the top of the world and just winning. And Judy could say, well, my son just won Wimbledon. And my dad could say, my daughter just won Wimbledon. It was very much that feeling. And I think everyone embraced that. And it was so special. So I think from the part of the British side of tennis, obviously you have Cameron Norrie, but you feel, especially with Alcaraz coming in and all those players, it's going to be maybe more difficult for him to win a slam, but he's going to have his chance as well. I mean, there's been the semifinal of Wimbledon. He's not that far. He's top 10 or close to be top 10. So I think for Andy, it's more as well for him to feel like after all his surgery and hip surgery and everything, is how much he can still enjoy his tennis. And when he feels probably that that's it, every day on the practice court is not that enjoyable as usual, and he feels almost like, dragging himself to go to the practice court and do this and do that, that's where the passion is sort of vanishing, and that's when it's time. So actually, it's not that difficult to take the decision when that happens. It's more when you feel you still have that passion and that fire, but your body doesn't follow anymore, that is slightly more difficult. But in some sort of ways, Andy had a second chance. He had sort of announced his retirement when he lost to Bautista Agut in the Australian Open, and everyone was crying. And then he decided to come back, and he had those success and those great matches and those great epics as well at Wimbledon. So I think you almost feel like you already got that second chance. So next time you're really going to walk away as a beautiful family again, a business within a hotel, I think in Scotland where he used to grow up. So he has so many things to look forward to. But I think he's going to be absolutely a very happy man afterwards.
Definitely. And you spoke earlier, what represents success? Is it just being able to compete?
Well, again, I think that's more a question that will be for her, because she's the one who wants to come back. But she had 2 kids. I actually saw her in Wimbledon during the 15 days, and she was playing the Legends, the Invitational Legends, with Cara Black in the doubles, and she was wearing a tape in her calf and having small tears here and there, just because your body is getting back into the routines of playing every day. But I think she feels like it's time for her to come back as a family with her husband, traveling with her kids, and just being a family and going on tour. And you know, a little bit like Tatiana Maria as well, you know, being a family and traveling and showing your kids that your mom can be a mom on one day and can be a tennis player on the other. If that's her inspiration, I mean, by any means, I just support that 100%. I think it's great. And Kim Clijsters obviously was one of the first one to do that and to win the US Open with Jada just being born and having this amazing run the US Open and winning actually her first Grand Slam after sort of retirement and coming back. So I think it would be an amazing story. Once again, Caroline has always been an incredible competitor, so fit, you know, just having this absolutely incredible game from the back of the court, just putting so many balls back. So I think if she can find that level, and I don't know how long it will take, we're going to have some amazing fights at the top of women's tennis, because I think she really have, if she can play it back at her best, she really have the level to go extremely deep and maybe to have another Grand Slam.
And Iga Swiatek, she didn't quite have the Wimbledon next.
Well, the number one in the race is Sabalenka. So since the beginning of the year, she's actually the player who has won the most of the matches. They obviously share one Grand Slam title each other, but she has been slightly more consistent. And the US Open really will tell who will be at the top of the women's game in terms of the ranking, because right now it's quite even. But Arena has a little bit of an upper hand, so we're going to see. But Iga Swiatek on clay for sure is the best player in the world.
And just two final questions for you, Marion. Just on French tennis.